This is not the tale of a wealthy noble with simple, dark secrets. This is the story of Elizabeth Bathory, the woman who turned castle torture chambers into horrifying masterpieces. Born into the powerful Bathory family, Elizabeth inherited not just noble blood, but a soul obsessed with domination and the suffering of others. In 1575, her marriage to Ferenc Nadasdy wasn't just a strategic alliance. It was a cunning move to expand her power and cloak her horrific deeds. While managing her husband's estates, Elizabeth penned coded letters containing brutal details of how she tormented her maidservants. In one such letter, dated August 12, 1599, she describes experimenting with new methods to punish her maids. These descriptions weren't just lifeless words. They were vivid testimonies of grotesque torture. She locked them in dark chambers, using torture devices like red-hot pincers and sharp blades, turning their agony into her own macabre art form. Witnesses recounted screams echoing through the castle like a hellish choir. Elizabeth didn't just take their lives, she stripped them of dignity. She forced them to drink their own blood, believing it would keep her eternally youthful. These details aren't legend, but are documented through surviving witness testimonies and later official investigation records. With her privileged status and political manipulation skills, Elizabeth kept this secret for years. But truth has a way of revealing itself, and the story of Elizabeth Bathory is testament to the horrors lurking beneath the veneer of power. Upon the death of Ferenc Nadasdy in 1601, Elizabeth Bathory did not succumb to sorrow. Instead, she emerged as a cold-blooded countess, steeped in power and ambition. Her castle was not just a home, it was a stage for her savage acts. Don't let the silence of its stone walls deceive you. Within them lay the machinations and fear that Elizabeth etched deep into the minds of all who dared cross her. With Ferenc's passing, Elizabeth inherited not only substantial wealth, but also a legacy of political power. She was no mere woman, she was a power strategist, using every tool at her disposal to secure her position. In February 1602, a letter from the castle steward revealed that she had restructured leadership to ensure safety and effective execution. Dissenters were dispatched with no remorse, leaving Elizabeth with a team of absolute loyalty. Ferenc's will, dated January 4, 1604, stands as a testament to her ruthlessness. With no mercy spared, she transformed the estates into fortresses for her dark ambitions. The Čachtice Castle became emblematic of her bloodthirsty reign, where the screams of terror became a normal sound. Elizabeth was not merely a serial killer in the shadows. She was a master manipulator. Through familial connections with top political figures in the Hungarian court, she maintained an innocent facade to the public eye. Discreet gatherings within Čachtice Castle became stages for intricate political scheming and cold-blooded feasts. By late 1610, when King Matthias II heard whispers of Elizabeth's heinous acts, she had already built an ironclad defense around herself. But even the strongest walls can crumble when truth begins to seep through the smallest cracks. This is where Elizabeth Bathory, known as the Blood Countess, reached the pinnacle of her brutality. Between 1602 and 1604, her barbaric acts sent shockwaves throughout Hungary. Make no mistake, this isn't just a tale of a serial killer. This is a dark symphony of depravity and power. Witness testimonies from the 1611 trial, particularly from Ilona Jo and Dorotha Sentes, unveil how Elizabeth enticed young girls to Čachtice Castle with promises of safe employment, only to imprison them in a living hell. Picture the scene, a grand yet chilling castle, young girls led inside, only to face horrific torture. Instruments of pain like spiked chairs and body-stretching racks were not just tools, but silent witnesses to unimaginable suffering. In a hearing, Dorotha described horrifying screams echoing through the icy stone walls. The infamous list of witnesses, a document that made early readers shudder, records over 300 alleged victims. The victims lost not only their lives, but their dignity too. Many were forced to drink their own blood in torment. Elizabeth Bathory was no ordinary murderer. She was an artist of agony, turning torture into a dark ritual. Loyal servants also partook in this macabre spectacle. Driven by Elizabeth's unparalleled power, they dutifully executed her every depraved command. A document from 1603 reveals that tortures occurred weekly, as if hell had been unleashed within those castle walls. Testimonies from the 1611 trial cannot be dismissed lightly. Evidence of her callous indifference to suffering became a grotesque display before the world. The tales of young girls deceived and imprisoned in torture chambers are not just haunting narratives, but warnings of how unchecked power can transform humans into monsters. December 1610 marked the beginning of a grim spectacle, where terrible truths were about to be unveiled. This wasn't merely an investigation, it was a descent into the twisted world of Elizabeth Bathory. King Matthias II dispatched Georgi Thurzo, a man well-versed in political intrigues, to tear apart the facade Elizabeth had meticulously constructed. These brave souls stormed the castle, not just in search of justice, but to confront horrors beyond imagination. Picture a scene straight out of hell on earth. Mutilated bodies of young girls lay scattered, visceral testimonies to her inhuman cruelty. A declassified document chillingly recounts, "We found dried blood and the stench of death alongside bizarre instruments of torture." Not mere rumors, these documents included images and survivor testimonies detailing how Elizabeth transformed agony into her form of dark art. Thurzo confronted Elizabeth herself, her face serene but soul rotting from within. She attempted to bribe him with gold and land, yet he remained unshaken. "I know nothing of these matters," she coldly stated, even as incontrovertible evidence towered before her. The trial was swift, yet unfolded like a tragic drama filled with tension. Though not formally tried due to her noble bloodline, Elizabeth was sentenced to life imprisonment in a small chamber within her own castle walls. Those cold stones now became her prison. Elizabeth Bathory lived 4 more years in utter isolation before dying in 1614. The tale of the Blood Countess isn't merely a gruesome story, it's a harrowing warning about power's ability to transform humans into monsters. The trial records remain chilling reminders of unchecked ambition and greed. Elizabeth Bathory didn't die as a defeated villain. She died forgotten in her own dungeon. It seems a gentle punishment for a woman dubbed the Blood Countess. But let me tell you, death was not Elizabeth's greatest punishment. It was silence, the terrifying oblivion of being forgotten. Imagine this: the walls of Čachtice Castle once echoed with screams. Now only hear the sighs of a woman who once ruled everything. The Bathory papers, declassified much later, documented her atrocities with chilling precision. In a letter dated May 12, 1608, she wrote about experiments with torture, as if discussing a recipe. And then there are the testimonies from the 1611 trial, not legend or folklore. These were accounts from over 300 witnesses, each with their own story of hell inside the castle. One witness detailed how Elizabeth forced them to drink their blood, believing it would grant eternal youth. Elizabeth Bathory was not merely an icon of evil. She was a warning about unchecked power. Some historians might argue her trial was political theatrics, But remember this, the testimonies and documents cannot be dismissed. Her legacy isn't just a bizarre tale, but a dark reminder for every generation about how power and ambition can morph humans into monsters.